Welcome to part 4 of tonight's program of the Opportunity Zones Meetup. Our topic tonight is on deal structures. We are specifically looking at the investor putting money into an opportunity zone development or business, and what may need to be in that deal to attract the investment and to reward the people who are managing the project. In this part 4 tonight, we're going to talk about risk mitigation. We have talked about the fact that this is a 10-year investment, that things are going to happen that are beyond prediction, beyond the horizon where we cannot see them. And so we start asking ourselves, what can we do today that would reduce the chance of failure, that would enhance the chance of success? And this is going to be a little bit of give and take between the investor and the project manager. And some of it is deal management, some of it is business operations, a variety of things. And again, we're going to look at this from the context of an opportunity zone investment. So one of the things that comes up that's common to a promissory note or lots of real estate projects is collateral security. That you're buying part of the money that comes in from the investment is going in to buy something of value that may still be here in 10 years, and particularly in real estate, hopefully at an appreciated value. But there may be other things that you can do that can influence the price point, even of real estate, 10 years down the road. So as we've talked about here, though, what is it you're creating? Are you creating product? Are you creating intellectual property? Are you creating property or enhancing property? Are you creating a name brand? Are you, if you wanted to buy a brand or a trademark, it may have more value than the underlying business, like Hostess Twinkies or something of that nature. So if you're an investor, you might be going, yeah, I've got a stake in this business, but I also want to put more into this deal structure, so I have a preferential right to some of these assets. Maybe ahead of creditors, maybe ahead of other people if there's a bankruptcy, something else that's going to give me a more protected position, or something that might end up being a valuable asset that I want to take care of. This isn't new to opportunity zones. This isn't first of kind, but because of the 10-year horizon before you can realize the benefits, there may be times now where you do it, you wouldn't ordinarily do it, but now maybe you should. Maybe you should be thinking of a little bit of overcautiousness or a little more conservatism in this context than you would do otherwise. Another is insurance. Insurance comes in all shapes, sizes, and forms, and in some cases you can even buy strange insurance, one-of-a-kind insurance. Often Lloyd's of London is referred to as buying like hole-in-one insurance for a golf tournament. If you're not familiar with that, you're doing a fundraiser, you have to pay $1 million. If anybody does a hole-in-one during the tournament and you don't have $1 million, but you can go to Lloyd's of London, and last time I looked, I think it was like $12,500 or something for a policy against the possibility that somebody would hit that hole-in-one. And it's an insurance thing. It's based upon actuarial data, probability statistics. Maybe there's something you can do within your program to get specialty insurance or different types of insurance that would reduce the risk for everybody in the thing. And one of the things I mentioned earlier in the program tonight is we're looking at potentially combining opportunity zone investments with whole life insurance. And within this framework, it may be possible that we can put insurance on either the principals in the deal or partners in the deal if we structure it in the right fashion, where they may be getting a secondary benefit, or if there's a death like a key man, then the whole project blows up because your unique inventor just died. Maybe you don't go home with nothing. Maybe there's a life policy that's going to pay everybody off. Indemnification. This is a clause that sometimes shows up in contracts and sometimes it doesn't, but As an example, in the hemp industry, since we have a few people in the audience interested in that area as well as myself, one of the big questions today is, what if somebody takes a CBD tablet or they drink water infused with CBD and there's an adverse health effect? Well, food is a strict product liability area of the law. Anything that goes wrong is going to be held against the manufacturer unless there's an intervening cause along the way where somebody slipped a dose of cyanide or something into the bottle after it's been manufactured and put into distribution, something else that takes it out of play. So the whole question of efficacy of safety in CBD products is out there, and if a claim is made and you're one of the people that are participating, where do you stand? Who's going to be liable? Because anyone who touched that product within the supply chain may be on the hook from a liability standpoint. And so you may want to put something in your contract that says that one of your partners is going to be liable, or they have to buy the insurance policy and you're a named beneficiary in the policy. But this is a third-party claim type of thing. It's not generally internal to the company, but if things go bad and for some reason something blows up, who's going to be liable for that particular thing, and is anyone actually standing ready? Because if you turn around and go, he's liable, but he has no money and he has no assets or resources, the legal liability means nothing from a practical standpoint. There's no one that you can go to make everybody whole. So again, thinking through the life cycle of this project, thinking of things that can go wrong, things that might be different, but we may see that there may be some issues in the context or conflict between investors and the property or project managers because they're holding on to this to get through the 10-year time frame. What if everybody wants to bail in year 7 because the project's going south? Does the company continue for 3 more years because it's good for some people and not for others? We're back into conditions and things that may need to be looked at. You may need an extraordinary remedies clause to allow for the fact that something may happen that's not predictable today, or it is predictable but low probability and we still want to deal with it. Dispute resolution. Not naming anybody in the room, but disputes happen, and sometimes between partners, sometimes between different people involved in a deal. A large real estate development where you're looking at 30, 40, or 50 different players between contractors and subcontractors and government agencies and so forth. There's all kinds of potential for dispute. And if a dispute occurs, it's typically a detour that's very expensive, both in time and money. And you may want mechanisms built into your offering document. Say, hey, if we have a disagreement, how do we solve it? Right now, if you, for a period of time, if you had a dispute with your stockbroker, you were forced into mandatory arbitration. You couldn't go to court. You didn't have a lot of options because they found that that was a simpler, quicker way to get rid of these disputes in more favorable terms, and they didn't want the thing showing up in front of a jury who was going to spin the lottery wheel and figure out how much money to award against that big, fat money broker-dealer out there. Well, you may want to do something here as well where you're saying, yeah, things could go wrong. If we have a dispute, how do we solve it efficiently, effectively? Let's keep the money down, the cost down, and let's not allow this to become the reason that the business failed because we're in a dispute. And then alternative performance. Again, this is something that I find an important key to successful projects is things do change. Things do happen that you didn't anticipate. The term agility in responding to changes is considered an attribute of a successful business. Well, what are you going to change to? Well, if you can, in advance, in your strategy, in your plan, say this is plan A, but what's plan B? And if you've built out plan B, it's much easier to transition to plan B in the middle of the storm rather than starting from scratch trying to do your strategy overnight because plan A just failed catastrophically. And I always like plan C because things can go wrong, do go wrong. Plan B can fail as well. And the more you've thought through this and doing it so that you naturally cascade through these alternatives rather than leaping to a drastically different alternative, the higher probability of success. So if I'm an investor right now looking at a deal in an opportunity zone, I'm going to be asking this kind of a question. I'm going to go, okay, what do you want to do? Okay, what if that doesn't work? What are you going to do? Is all the money gone? Can you regroup? Can you repoint yourself in a different direction? What are your choices there? And so this is a form of due diligence that's going to occur. And to some degree, if you're raising money, you should anticipate that this question is going to come, I think, almost all the time in an opportunity zone situation. That's a long time for you to hold my money. What are you going to do if? And you should try to anticipate what those situations are going to be. You should have an answer ready to go to show that you've thought through it and that you are considerate of their investment dollars, because that builds your credibility both as an entrepreneur and as a holder or trustee of your investors' money. So try to think through what that would look like for your specific project. You know, if you got held up in a permit and you can't get into the ground, what's going to happen? What if you have an accident on scene? Or yesterday we were talking about a company had an outing and one of their employees drowned. You know, bad things do happen, but what is the impact of those and what can you do to mitigate the risk, mitigate the downside, and what can you build into the deal structure that is part of the deal structure up front instead of trying to figure this out after the fact. Any questions? Okay, that ends part 4 of tonight's program. We're going to quit recording at this point. I'm going to go through the resources with everybody that's here, so kind of remind you of some